Welcome to back to school night. I figured if you couldn't make it and you would like to know what to expect for your student in biology, that a little video ought to do. So, this is biology. I'm Mrs. Bader. I teach science at Del Campo. I've taught for about 10 years here. Welcome to my class, and I hope that I can give you some insight into ways that you can support your student so that you know what's going on with class. That's my goal here. All right, so Biology of the Living Earth is the name of the course. It actually is the next generation science standards, NGSS standards, and we weave in some of the earth science standards that wouldn't be covered in a traditional biology class, and that's why we have this big long name, Biology of the Living Earth, which we often abbreviate as BOTLE, but with one T. We will be covering ecosystem interactions and energy, looking at the Earth and its atmosphere and how that actually formed over the history of the Earth. We'll look at a lot of different aspects of life on Earth and how it's changed over time and how we see evidence for evolution. Then we'll also take a look at inheritance of traits. So that takes us into more modern genetics and structure and function and growth within systems, biological systems, organisms, all of those aspects is a very interesting unit. And then the last one that we end with. And then the last unit is ecosystem stability and response to climate change. This does fulfill the lab requirements for one of the 3 science courses. It's a 10-unit course and will actually play into that A through G readiness for your student as well. Much like any other course, we support our students' learning through hands-on interactions. We build an interactive notebook in most of our science classes, though it sometimes is more convenient to do work online. There is a lot of value in doing work authentically within a notebook and then being able to review that work over time. So we spend a lot of time organizing our curriculum so that it can support our students' understanding kind of throughout the whole course. And so you see that the notebook is a really big part of what we do with that. As we grade, we are using a 5-point grading system instead of traditional percentages. So you can see here, like it doesn't translate, quite the same. Whereas like anything less than half would be failing, or less than 60% would be failing in a traditional grading system. And so if you take a look at the syllabus, which is available on through Google Classroom, and I know that your student was asked to give you a copy of it, but I'll give you a QR code for that toward the end of the presentation, so you can take a look at how the traditional letter grades you can see how they kind of work out this way, but you can look at the percentages. We have to translate it by percentages, and if you're interested in that, I can get you that information. We basically in our department have adopted what is called grading for equity. It's a philosophy that really looks to try to value knowledge over behavior, to encourage growth and not allow students to get stuck in just kind of like checking the boxes and going through the motions of like turning in homework, but maybe not learning the material. And we're interested in helping them to build skills as well as learn the material, though. This is what we use for our students in terms of their description. I feel like those are a little out of order. Sorry about that. In dealing with materials, I know this one's pointing at environmental science, but it's a screenshot just showing the classes that I'm teaching this block, and you can see the biology classes there. I know you don't have access to this, but if you ask your student to log into their portal, you can see Google Classroom and kind of see how it's organized. These are 2 screenshots showing what Google Classroom looks like to me, but I tried to hide the parts that you wouldn't have available. Obviously, you don't have grades, but you do see stream and classwork when you look in the class, and you see that just kind of the way that it's organized. I do want to point out that the daily agenda is available as a link, and it's always live and updated through a folder that's called Classroom Matters. And so if a student is absent, you can direct them, remind them to go into Google Classroom, and they can click on the agenda and see what we did. All work is actually going to be turned in online by using the scan feature in a camera. And through Google Classroom, I collect and grade and give feedback on work. Now they're doing work on paper, but then they're taking a scan and turning it in via Google Classroom. So I can just kind of, it bridges the gap of not having to like turn in notebooks all the time. With the exception of the notebook, which I do check on a pretty regular basis. I just want to see that they're actually taking that work and putting it into the notebook in an organized way so that they're supporting their learning. We do value knowledge over behavior here. So 80% of the grade is determined by summative assessments, and 20% is just the completion and maintenance of that homework and notebook and things like that. Attendance, tardiness, behavior does not affect their grade. That goes into a citizenship grade. That is determined. The citizenship grade is like my communication piece to you that is determined by attendance, behavior, participation, all that kind of stuff. So if you are familiar with our grading system, you know that there's an academic grade and a citizenship grade. And I don't just plug anything in there. I actually keep track, taking a look at attendance and participation. And I try to give you a fair communication piece that lets you know how your student is performing in class in terms of their character, their life skills, and just that behavior within the classroom. These are my expectations. It's pretty straightforward. We call these the 6 Ps. I want them to be prompt, prepared, be polite, keep a positive attitude, participate, and produce good work. The last thing, I know many of you did this already. I want to say thank you. As we get $50 for each course, it doesn't really cover the materials. I know I've already spent that on materials that we've used in several of our labs. So we try to give them a really great hands-on experience. I try to make sure that I've got supplies, extra supplies if they need them. Never let a student go without a notebook. We'll figure out a way to get it into their hands. So the way that we, do this is by asking our parents to contribute. So I think it's $15 for the general ed courses, is what the suggested donation is there. We've got it set up through My School Bucks, but honestly, you can give whatever you can. And if it doesn't happen now, if it's not something you can do now, but you would like to do so later, we'll take that. Or, send supplies. We like tissues and glue sticks and highlighters and things here. We really can support students' needs when we have that community endeavor. So, and even though you weren't here tonight, I'm still grateful that you're watching this. Just want to let you know that my email is here available. I need to move myself out of the way so that you can see it, but it's an EDU. And so write me if you have any questions. And thank you for taking the time to watch this. Have a good one.